Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about punya karma. Punya karma. Punya is meritorious or merit. The Pali word we translate as meritorious or merit. Karma, action. Actions of body, speech and mind. And it is traditional, very traditional in Buddhism to practice punya karma, meritorious actions, and by which dedicate the merit of those actions to departed relatives, the dead, commemorating, in memory of, dedication to those that have gone before us, our dead fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, relatives. And it's part of the cultural influence in Buddhist countries that this has become natural and somewhat a little ritualistic, but even in that sense, still good actions and still generating good karma. But it can be sometimes, especially by those of us from the West, misinterpreted slightly. You see, punya karma, meritorious actions, and the dedication of those meritorious actions is not like throwing coins into a wishing well, throwing coins into the Trevi fountain in Rome, in the hopes that this will bring you good fortune, good luck, long lives, good health, beauty, or in the case of the latter, a long and happy marriage or relationship, or that one may come along whom you'd meet in order to arrive at that end, only to then be parted from likewise, as we come to understand, with all things being impermanent, unsatisfactory and out of our control. But nevertheless, that kind of ritualistic behaviour, good luck charms, potions, magic spells, wishes, throwing coins in wishing wells or in fountains, is something we try to avoid in the practice, as we come to understand when we develop wisdom through practicing sila, keeping moral virtue, practicing meditation and developing wisdom through the understanding of those characteristics of existence I just met, that all we have is our actions in the present moment, here and now, that will have results in the future and are determined by sila, moral virtue. So hopefully we can make a determination in the present moment, here and now, whenever we're concerned with wrong actions we may have done in the past, may be regretful of those actions, by making a determination not to make that mistake again, but to keep the 5 precepts in the future, we go some way towards resolving those issues. We cannot change the past, but we can determine the future through our actions in the present moment, here and now. And it is those actions, karma, that when good, meritorious, can make real, tangible results in this lifetime and in the moments to come within this lifetime. And if you believe so, wish to believe so, and it is your understanding, those results through that determination and those good actions can be shared by this means with others. Those can be those surrounding you immediately, those that are forgotten and maybe not near you now, and those whom have died, your ancestors. This is a matter of choice, a matter of faith, a matter of understanding, a matter of belief. It is very much something that's culturally influenced. Whilst recording this, I've moved my position slightly because I want to talk about what's behind me in a minute, as I've spoken about in a previous video, only towards the end. There are some questions about it, so I'll cover that in a minute. But there are many people walking by today and all around the village, because this is the first week of the Vasa, the rains retreat. And I'm going to make a massive generalization now about Buddhism in Sri Lanka, Buddhism in Thailand, and Buddhism in Burma. It is just a massive generalization, not to be taken literally. Last time I made a massive generalization, it was taken literally and I upset someone. I wasn't really able to recover from that because as much as I tried to explain that it was a massive generalization, because of the language barrier, that wasn't easily explained. It was when I said to a very dedicated practitioner here in Sri Lanka that, of course, in Buddhism, Sri Lanka is based on the suttas. We have the Tipitaka, which is the Buddhist scriptures, which are formed by the Vinaya Pitaka, which is the rules, the code and conduct for monks and nuns, and the Sutta Pitaka, which is the word, the teachings of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Abhidharma, which is further commentaries on those suttas, a more advanced level, in-depth analysis of those teachings, looking into the mental structure, mind a little bit more, and the process of meditation, samadhi, jhana, and so forth. Very advanced academic intellectual stuff. So we have those three different categories. And I categorized Sri Lanka as being the Sutta Pitaka country, Thailand being the Vinaya Pitaka country, and Burma being the Abhidharma Pitaka country. And if you speak to monks there, if you live with monks in those three respective countries, you will find that generally speaking, that is the case. Here is very much sutta orientated, and derivatives of the sutta, the Jataka tales, all the lives of suttas, all the lives of the previous Buddhas, and the Dhammapada, the sort of summaries of various aspects, cool sayings, if you like, coming from the suttas, are taught in schools at a very early age, very young age. As they are also, I think, in Thailand, but in Thailand, it's very much that their cultural influence is based on the Vinaya Pitaka, the code of conduct of monks and nuns, and those organizations revolving around them, and the people going and looking after, supporting, maintaining the Sangha's existence. And I've not been to Burma, but I understand it's a wonderful place to go to study. It's very intellectual as far as Buddhism's concerned, and that's why it has that reputation. But these are generalizations and reputations. And someone wrote to me recently explaining, which makes a lot of sense, I hadn't thought of it this way, but it is my experience, that this time, the Vasa, this 3 months retreat period, as it is considered for monks and nuns, and also some lay people who choose to go and live on the 8 or 10 precepts in white in a monastery or a temple or close by, practicing for this 3 months, making various determinations towards aspects of the practice. In Sri Lanka, that is largely about the suttas, about study and learning the suttas, understanding, reading, and practicing what is taught in those. In Thailand, it's often Vinaya orientated. Specifically, one example is it's a time when monks dedicate and make an adhitthana, a determination. I must say I kind of tentatively did once and then didn't follow it through. My excuse was that I changed the location of where I spent the Vasa, but I was toying with the idea of trying to learn the Patimokkha in Pali, which is the recitation of our 227 rules. We do every full moon and new moon on the Uposatha. reminding ourselves of our code of conduct, or the main points taken from the Vinaya Pitaka. It's often a time in Thailand, this Vassa period, where monks and nuns determine to learn that. I think that's beyond my capability, that amount of rote learning these days. I'm more, and always have been, the kind to put things into practice and learn experientially through doing rather than learning or talking or reading about. So that's the kind of differentiation, and that's a lot of at the moment what is going on in this first week of the Vassa here, where I'm sitting in Sri Lanka, is people going from house to house, paying homage to shrines in those houses. I'm guessing a little bit here from what I see, because I don't yet speak the language to fully understand, but offering food, offering dana in that respect to each other, lay people. This is what they do at this time here. It's a dana orientated Vassa, whereas in Thailand it's much more a Vinaya orientated Vassa. So this is very much a time for giving, practicing generosity. But that is only one aspect of punya karma. It isn't all about throwing coins in the wishing well, throwing coins in the fountain and hoping for good luck. And it doesn't matter the quantity or amount you offer. Any contribution or any offering, whether it be financial, whether it be food, whether it be your time by way of service and offering help, however small or however great, is equally valued. And what is more important and most important is the intention behind that offering. And that is where the true value of punya, meritorious karma, action, can be recognized and also experienced. Firstly, whenever we give, we feel good. It is good to give. It's often said, better to give than to receive. And that's certainly the case. Just as I was about to sit and record this, some people went by on this little pilgrimage they're doing, and a little family with the little children, and I wasn't sure whether they were trying to offer me something or requesting something. But by mime, they were able to say it was a bit of both. They were offering me some incense, which was I gratefully received, but they really wanted something also, and were in need of something. And by mime and a few words I understood, I picked up soap, toothbrushes, toothpaste, cleaning materials like this would be useful for that family's needs. So I was very happy, very happy actually, because I have always an abundance of such things, because people offer it to me by way of dana, to be able to provide them with that, give them some of those items, which really made my day. So it's very rare us monks, other than by way of offering dharma, get the opportunity to give back. And one thing I'm also trying to do here in Sri Lanka in this period, and I was happy this person mentioned this aspect of Vinaya being the structure of the Vassa in Thailand, but dana being the structure of the Vassa here in Sri Lanka, because I didn't have to think I should be learning some more Patimokkha this Vassa. I thought I could dedicate myself a little bit more wholeheartedly towards what I'm trying to do, which is learn a little bit more of this Sinhala language, or Sinhalese as we say. In Sinhala, it is Sinhala. So, Mama Igenima Sinhala Tikak. That's I'm learning Sinhalese, that language, a little, trying. It's my determination. And also, this building behind me, as I've mentioned before, this is my front door. I think I've positioned the camera correctly for this. This is the back door to the building behind me, which is reminiscent of Angkor Wat in its current state. It has trees and plants growing through it. It's a 150 to 200 year old building of stone and clay thick walls, but inside, despite the cobwebs and the snakes and the clutter where it's used for storage, it's cool and a pleasant environment that I thought would make a wonderful and beautiful meditation hall. For if people are visiting me locally, they can just sit for a few moments, or all day, or all night, and just meditate. No need for any rites or rituals to be going on. No need for much by way of observation. They don't need to dress up in a certain way, appear a certain way, even behave a certain way, other than with respect to the peace and quiet of the conditions surrounding them. Anyone can come and just sit and have some time with their thoughts or in meditation, developing samadhi as part of the path that they're practicing. Because that isn't so readily available outside of formal retreat structures, even in this Buddhist country. And people don't always have time or the availability to go to formal retreat structured events, or even a long way to visit such places where it might be conducive to meditation, but form part of a larger pilgrimage, if you like, or practice of punya karma. Because such punya karma is practiced here, going to the holy sites around Sri Lanka, large and very, huge distances for some people, and then queuing for a long time to pay homage to holy relics over many days sometimes, is considered punya karma. And whether you believe that by dedicating the merits of this punya karma directly to your departed relatives or not, whatever the case may be, what you are doing is developing wholesome states of mind through dedicating some time and service to develop saddha, faith, confidence in the Dharma, in the teachings of the Buddha, in the practice, in the Noble Eightfold Path, that of sila, moral virtue, samadhi, meditation, and development of wisdom. All of this is the Noble Eightfold Path. Punya karma also. So it isn't always, as it might be considered or perceived as such, as throwing coins into the wishing well or the fountain for good luck, health and prosperity. It is by those meritorious actions, and only those actions like going to the temple, taking Tisarana Panchasila, that is refuge in the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, taking the 5 precepts or redetermination of the 5 precepts, Panchasila in Pali, with a monk, so formally, is also punya karma. My Sangha back in India, whom have just recited the Patimokkha on the Uposita that's just passed, the full moon of, it was a Sala Puja also, of July, and the day prior to entering the rains, the Vasa, likewise would have all got together, probably 30 odd monks now, bhikkhus now, senior right down to the very junior, to recite the Patimokkha. And I always am in touch with them on this day, and they dedicated the merits of that partly also towards me and my practice and my development on the path happily towards Nibbana. As I do that practice of my own, dedicate to them. Like you see in the beginning chapters of a book, or even on a movie, or in a song you might be familiar with, it's dedicated to, or in the memory of. It's meant with nothing more than to bring to mind the good qualities of someone that is no longer with us. And even include that as part of the inspiration towards the good actions you are doing today, in this present moment, here and now. So indeed, it isn't reviving those we have lost, and it isn't necessarily directly benefiting those that we have lost. But it is reminding you of their goodness and all they did for you, and in some way paying that back through your good actions now, and paying that goodness forward with your good actions now. So I hope that explains punya karma, meritorious actions. There are, if you look in the chanting book right at the very last page, if you're looking at the most recent chanting book that I've been sending out from my own monastery, Sangha, as opposed to the chanting book I've been sending out because it was the only one I had available, the link that is to send, of the Thai tradition. But in my own Sangha, their chanting book, at the very last page, I think 144, is the ceremony we carry out for dedication of merits, where there is the pouring of water. You may have seen this in videos or even experienced it for real. And it's the chanting the monks do, and sometimes lay people, whilst people gathered around, all in contact in a circle, lay practitioners, pour some water, and we chant, begins with imana, punya, no, that's the other bit. Idam nyona tinam so honte, I can't remember how it goes now, I'm out of context of the procedure, but it's dedicating the merits of our actions to those immediately with us, far from us, and those that have parted. And we say that chant 3 times, followed by, as sure as the rivers Yatawari Waha Punya Pari Parenti Sagaram, this chant, flow down the mountainsides to the sea, so will the goodness of our actions be passed on to others. So in all of our meritorious deeds, all of our meritorious actions, this punya karma, it can be seen as benefiting others. So something that can be seen as simple as keeping 5 precepts, doing no harm, making that determination to do no harm to yourself or others, is giving the wonderful gift of fearlessness to all beings. And that is the best punya karma we can do for the most tangible and immediate results. And it costs us nothing to refrain from killing, refrain from stealing, refrain from sexual misconduct, refrain from lying, and refrain from intoxicants. This is the first basis and the foundation of all of our practice. And how easy is that, just to refrain from those things we wouldn't really want to do intentionally anyway. That's the greatest gift we can give to all. And we can dedicate that merit in our minds without any ceremony, without any pouring of water. But if it helps us to do so mindfully, there's nothing wrong with that. We understand why we're performing these actions. It isn't throwing pennies in the wishing well. This is actual behavior, determination, and developing mental wholesome mind states, reducing unwholesome mind states. So this is the basis. And when we have the ability and availability also to give a little surplus food, a little surplus cleaning materials, we can too, with all good intention, however large or however small, give that to those that need it, as I was fortunate enough to be able to do today. And each day people consider it a great opportunity to give me a little food each, but amounts to sufficient food for me to live and survive another day. As they do, you do with all my requisites here, which is an ongoing process. My food each and every day, which is provided locally. Clothing, robes, not so often, just once in a while, perhaps at the end of the Vasa, but only every few years because we keep it very simple. the shelter I'm living in, this kuti, just here, my little room, which was provided by these people locally, the landowners here, and with a little bit of your help, they were able to just put a new roof on, clean up the inside and make it habitable for me. I've recently had the wonderful addition of a tap on the outside, which is drinking water coming from the government mains water system. I get my water normally from a well, which is brought by gravity to a tap inside for washing, bathing, cleaning, etc. And the drinking water has to be given to me or provided by means of someone taking a container off or me going with a container to have it filled. And now they very kindly come and put a tap just there for my benefit. So it's drinking water available and on hand, on tap, so to speak, literally. This is punya karma. This is all meritorious good actions because everyone benefits. We have this interdependent relationship, the local community here and myself, supported with them, but not unnecessarily putting undue pressure on anybody. I try to keep as very invisible as I possibly can, a smaller footprint as possible in this little environment, so as I'm more or less unnoticed. Unless they need me, they want to come and talk to me, they want to see me at their front doors in the morning for blessings and to offer alms to, or any functions I might occasionally go to, as I did the other day for one of these anniversary commemorations of a relation who died, for a lunch. Not my fondest thing, I'm not so fond on attending these occasions, but it was a very good family local that invited me that I know, and thought on this occasion I would. So I did. A little bit of time, a little bit of the unusual in terms of the procedure, but something I could offer, something I could give. And what I also want to do this Vasa is try and restore this beautiful old building behind me. In the first instance, and I have some questions about it, the first question says, it's a great potential, Bhante, could you kindly elaborate more about the project? So yes, I'm going to try and do that now, not to bore you with it, but firstly what I'll say, just to all the comments and questions and kind words of encouragement, thank you, about this little project. I will say thanks to, and those of you will know who you are, I'm not going to mention any names, but Anumodana Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu, and my immense gratitude to those that have supported me here over this past 2 years since I've been in Sri Lanka, with more than enough by way of your very kind financial donations online that have been gratefully received, and of which there is some surplus and can be now used to put towards very punya karma, meritorious action of restoring this beautiful building. So on that basis, there is, through your generosity of the past, Anumodana, already sufficient funds available for the organisation to just go ahead and instruct the necessary people to come along and begin the work. The first thing being to strip off the entire roof and maintain and keep all of the clay tiles where possible, rebuild the structure underneath, wooden original vaulted structure to maintain the beautiful high ceiling, and then replace all the tiles. A complete new roof basically, as they did with this little building, which used to be the annex, the outhouse, the kitchen to that larger building. That's the first thing that needs to be done. People have mentioned all sorts of things. You need to get this report done, this investigation. That's very much coming from the Western point of view and not considering the simplicity by which things can be done effectively by sheer determination and faith here. Being this little bit of jungle on the beach, which is what it is in the southwest of Sri Lanka, things can happen when you determine it such, if you have enough faith. And they will happen in the right way, in the right time. Sometimes they need a little assistance financially. And that's what we're able to do as a group, as an organisation. You're able to do as a group, as an organisation. And one very good question which prompted me to talk about punya karma. I want to read the question properly if I can find it. Yes, here you are. Is the next comment. How wonderful we could be part of it. We make a donation. It might be good if you could talk a little bit about merit and how we can make offerings to gain merit. I wish every success in this wonderful project. So that's a beautiful message which, along with many others, encourages me to suggest to the people whom have agreed that it would be of great benefit to them to have a little meditation hall here and some basic facilities for people visiting, whether they're coming locally or you from abroad. Not to stay overnight, just toilet facilities, washing your hands and such like, or even somewhere to sit and maybe have some lunch. But there are many local sources of accommodation nearby. And if you're out of season, which is most of the year here, this isn't a major tourist spot, this part of Sri Lanka, there's usually rooms that can be found, accommodation, to suit most people's differing needs and budgets and tastes. So I can always point you in the right direction for that if you're staying for a little while. But other than that, just to provide these basic necessities and needs for people is the idea. But primarily somewhere which is relatively cool, that more than one or two people can sit in comfort, half a dozen to a dozen people, that's sort of 10 or 12 people, 15 or even 20 in there, sitting and meditating peacefully in quiet. It's got fixed stone walls, as I say. Partly they're falling down, they need to be mended, fixed, underpinned, whatever needs doing to them. It'll all be done in time, in due course, without a specific program of events or agenda, or what's the technical term architects use, I don't know. It's very unofficial, very relaxed, very flexible. There's no fixed budget. It's going to be ongoing expenses continuously. But as I say, thanks to those that have supported my presence here in Sri Lanka more than adequately enough over this last 2 years, there are sufficient funds available for it to get started already. And then as to how one literally makes any donations or offerings like that, I don't go into that with regards to amounts. Suffice to say that any good intentions of whatever size, as I say, are all of equal value. And the links for those offerings, there are two, but they amount to the same thing, are on the channel description page. And I understand, I'm told that there's one direct to PayPal, the other one includes all manner and different means of, I don't know, transferring, donating money or whatever that is. So that's hopefully clearing up that. And then finally the other question was, where is this place and can I come and help? So as I just said, it is in I didn't say the name of the town, but we're in Bentota, which is on the southwest coast of Sri Lanka. Now, as far as coming to help is concerned, I wouldn't want people coming any long distances. Like I said, there's the accommodation situation, and there's more than enough local people to hand. If you're local, then you'd need to come along and see the person organising everything here, whom is the sort of, who are also the family that own the land here, whom will just supervise everything. I don't get involved with it. I leave it all to, I just practice my own meditation and leave it all. If one day I can lend a hand and carry something or do something within the boundaries of what I'm allowed to do and my rules, then I indeed will. But generally speaking, these things happen very efficiently without me interfering or getting involved. So it will just naturally develop of its own accord, and hopefully in some months to come there will be something more visible for you to see. In the meantime, I'll revert. You can see at the moment it's very ancient looking, and but you can also see how handy it is. That's, as I say, the back. This is the door of where I live, where I stay, and this is where you normally see me talk, other than I'm the other way around. And behind me there will be this wonderful, beautiful, eventually restored ancient building. Now, by way of punya karma, there have been already, as I mentioned this idea, many suggestions. Oh, why don't we build a nice new hall, there, which will all be brand new and perfect, and this, that, and the other. And back to what I was saying about making my presence as unnoticed and unintrusive as possible, I think it is far more meritorious, albeit considerably more expensive and perhaps more difficult, to restore what is already there, which is, after all, very beautiful and very, as I say, it was built some 150 years, maybe even 200 years ago, and has had successive generations of families living in there, brought up in there, all performing their meritorious behaviour and good actions, and generating that atmosphere that is a family environment that will become, other than that, something, a place of peace and calm, and a place not of worship, not a temple, but a simple place of reflection. It will have a Buddha Rupa, it will have the appearance of a temple, but it will be informal. Informal by way of being at a meditation place, but one that you can use and come to any time. Not just when there's something organised for you to attend. And use it as you wish to use it, as people wish to use it. But also where people can come and perform or take Tisadhana Panchasila, refuge in the Triple Gem, and precepts. And we may hold some ceremonial functions there, those that you're allowed to do so in an ordinary public place. Because it will not be consecrated, it will not have any relics there, in order to keep it something separate and different from the nearby temples which have all that. So my offering, my dana for Celia, our joint effort of dana offering, is that, something alternative that we all benefit from, but also local people and people coming from far and wide can use and benefit from also. And therefore dedicating the merits of that, what we build, what we develop, what we restore, for the use of and benefit of many others immediately to be seen, and if so wished, dedicated to all those that we remember fondly in memory of those. So on that note, once again, I hope I think that's most of the, I had many questions and many words of encouragement, which is what gives me additional confidence, that is backing up my faith, saddha, confidence, in this being the appropriate and right project for us to carry out, to establish that meditation hall not by way of growing an organization or building anything new, but looking after and restoring what is there to its former glory for the benefit of many. And for relatively very little cost indeed. So I don't want you thinking, wow, this is going to, you look at the photographs, you may have not seen them, but I've put some photographs in a short video on this channel just after the previous Uposatha Dharma talk, Ashala Puja Dharma talk, Asala Puja Dharma talk, and then there are some photographs of the building behind. It looks like an expensive mammoth project. The overall project is only going to cost not very much at all. I can sacrifice a couple of return trips to the UK, let's say, to cover the entire cost of it. I don't talk about money because monks don't use money, as you know, but I'm pretty sure that a return flight to the UK, for me, even though my accommodation in a monastery there would be free, but a couple of times would cost more than it would to restore this beautiful building. So we're not talking about much money at all, and I have no intention of going on such a journey. So in that sense, it makes sense, much better sense, to dedicate any sort of available funds that are already there towards beginning that, and then ultimately us finishing it off for everyone's benefit. So many people going past back and forth today, and I'm sure over the months and years I will come to understand better what their traditional thing is they're doing on these occasions. But there's a lot of comings and goings and droppings off, which isn't ordinary at this time of day, but seems to be today. Oh, there's a cat here. Anyway, so I think I've spoken enough. I'm not sure whether I have time now to go into any of the other comments and questions I've received. Probably not. So I hope I've given a good understanding as to the meaning behind punya karma, dedication of merits, why that is held in traditional Buddhist countries as so highly as a practice, even more so than even meditation itself, but can be considered as very much part of, by all of us, even those of us that are more meditation practitioners, as very much a part of the practice, because it is part of sila and that foundation of our practice that enables us to meditate and fully experience the power of meditation through samadhi and the development of jhana. On that note, if there's something useful there, I hope you can use it. If not, then please just let it go. A reminder, if you need it, those links, as I say, for any more information at all about anything, go to the channel description page or click About button, I think it's called, or the little button that's a highlighted word that says More under the brief video description. Gets you to the full channel description where you have my email, where you can contact me directly, and I always reply personally, and that is private. You can address your comments also in the comments section here underneath. And those links are also to be seen and avail yourself of if necessary on that page. Until next time, be happy and stay well. Sukhi Hotu.